Hello, everyone. This is Brother Timothy Earl Hoskins from the Lord's House of Prayer in Jackson, Tennessee. And this is going to be the first new video I've loaded in a while. There's been a lot of stuff going on. Of course, my dad's been sick. And I've actually have been sick. I didn't realize it, but I think I've had this for a while. And I had to end up going to the doctor last Thursday. And I've been having a lot of issues with chest pains, and I had some headaches about a week ago. Pretty bad. And I had trouble swallowing, had a lot of pain in my chest, really sore, tight. And so I went to the doctor next door to where I work at, and they checked my blood pressure, and it was 172 over 110, which is just terrible, and I think it's been that way for a while. And so they gave me some medicine, and lisinopril, a 10 milligram, and I've taken that the last couple of days. I took one Thursday, and I took one last night, and I was instructed to take it at nighttime. And my blood pressure is just bottomed out, and I'm kind of, I went from that real high to just being on edge all the time to, in there watching a ball game, I'll fall asleep or something. And it's been like 111 over 72 and 116 over 74, which is good, and I thank the Lord for that, because it needs to be that instead of 172 over 110. So if y'all could pray for me on that, I'd appreciate it, because I think that had been going on for a while, and I just ignored it. And it was causing me a lot of issues. And not only there was a lot of stress at work, and with my dad being sick and everything, but I think it's been going on for a while. But I'm glad it's under control now, and I'm just going to have to keep a watch on it. But I ask that you pray for me as I pray for you. Pray for our elected representatives, that they'll do the right thing. Pray for our country as a whole. Pray for our churches. Pray for the nation of Israel, and pray for those people that are having issues, whether they be health issues, whether it's something, financially, whatever the case may be. I ask you to pray for me too on something. I've put in an application for a second job to do at night, because I think I need to do that. I've been it'd also help me money-wise, but I think it would help me physically wise to do that. I did it most of my life, and it'd only be like maybe 5 hours a night, and I think it'll work out pretty well for me. And so y'all can pray that happens, and I appreciate that. And like I said, this is the first one I've put up in a while, and I think the biggest reason is because I just hadn't felt well, and because of that blood pressure. I mean, it's just, I just had this roaring in my head, and I just hadn't felt well. But I want to talk about today and it's a lot of what I talk about in some of my videos, is like worldly lusts. I don't think you can put the world ahead of God. I think you've got to put God ahead of the world, no matter what you do. And you got, whatever you're doing, you got to do it with a right heart, and a kind heart, and a decent heart. You can't be what I want to say, overbearing or vindictive or vengeful. And I think a lot of people get that in them sometimes. And my biggest issue with things is, if something happens, I tend to go into a shell sometimes and not want to talk to anybody, which I guess that's a problem in itself, but I guess that usually just hurts me sometimes. But I just go into a shell, and I'm better at it than I used to be, but I'm not perfect at it at all. I guess I never will be, but I try. And I want to start off in Romans. Says, talking about worldly lust, it says, "For they that are after the flesh do mind the things of the flesh, but they that are after the Spirit, the things of the Spirit. For to be carnally minded, this is one of my favorite scriptures in the Bible. It says, for to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. Because the carnal mind is enmity against God, for it is not subject to the law of God, neither indeed can it be. So then they that are in the flesh cannot please God. But you are not in the flesh, but in the Spirit, if so be that the Spirit of God dwelleth in you. Now if any man have not the Spirit of Christ, he is none of these. So, if you're carnally minded, you're after the things of the world, and you're constantly trying to manipulate events and people and whatever you can to get material possessions of the world or lusts of the world. And I don't think that's something God is going to smile on, but that's just something that a lot of people do. If you put on the Spirit and you look after the things that are God, then God will put, these good things in your life. And He's put many good things in mine. That's what you have to do. I've never, and I've said this on a lot of a few of my videos. There's a Wayne Jennings song. It's my theme song. I've always been crazy, and there's a line in there that says, "I can't say I'm proud of all of the things that I've done, but I've never intentionally hurt anyone. I've never intentionally hurt anyone. I've did a lot of stuff out of stupidity and ignorance, and maybe because I've got upset about things, but I've never intentionally meant to hurt anybody. And by that I mean I've never tried to get other people involved in the situation to manipulate somebody or to cause them problems. But the carnal mind is of the things of the world and is an enmity against God, and the spiritual mind is of the things of God and has a great awe or love of God." I'm going to go to 1 John now, 2:15 and 16. That other one was Romans 8, 5 through 9. I don't know if I said that or not. But the next one is 1 John 2:15 and 16. It says, "Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes and the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world." And people get greedy and selfish. They got to have the next thing. They got to have the next dollar. They got to have the next material possession. Nothing's ever enough for them. They always got to have one more thing, or one more possession, or one more dollar bill, or something. I don't think people should be that way. I don't have anything against anybody making money or a lot of money, or anybody having a lot of things. But if that's what your focus is on that, then I think your heart is in the wrong place to start with. If your focus is on using this for God, using your wealth or your possessions and stuff for God, then I think that's a good thing. And I don't think there's many people that do that, but people are just selfish. And that's one thing when people talk about capitalism and stuff like that. Capitalism is the best system to lift people out of poverty and to help people become better and to become wealthy and to better their families. But the problem is greed and selfishness. That's what comes into it. And if it was perfect and nobody was greedy or selfish, it would be the perfect system. But it's individuals that are that way that, they cause us problems for people. And I'm going to read this. Matthew 16:26 says, "For what is a man profited, if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul?" So are you willing to put all your emphasis on worldly possessions and then lose your soul and turn your back on God? And it's like I've always talked about on here, being a Mason or going to church. I don't believe you can call yourself both. I think you got to make a choice in that situation. I've even been given advice before and said, join the Masons and get what you can out of that, and join the church and get what you can out of that. I think that's really bad advice on either side. I don't know that you need to join a church, but you need to have God in your heart, and you need to read and pray. And as far as the Masons, I just can't abide them. I've read it and I've looked at it and I've studied it, and it's just not good. And so if you join something like that to get things of this world, then you're tossing away God. You're telling God that I'd rather have this things of this world than I had of you. And if and I've said this many times, I don't compete with people for things. I don't compete for material possessions or jobs or women or anything like that. If I feel like that if I can be a good enough man and I tell the truth and honest and work hard and not trying to take any shortcuts or undermine somebody else, then those good things will happen. And that's just how I feel about it. And that's putting all my trust and faith in God. And I've always worked hard for everything I've got. It seems like I always had to do that. I don't have a problem with it. And then you got to work just as hard to try to keep it. But that's fine. That's fine. And but if you're willing to put something else in the place of God, then you're in danger of losing your soul at the time of judgment. And when that time comes, there's not going to be any recourse. You're not going to be able to run back to the Masons or the Lodge or a court or a judge or somebody that's an authority figure or got a lot of money to get you out of it. That's just the way it's going to be. I'm reading 2 Timothy 4:3, and I think this is where a lot of people are at now. It says, "For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lust shall they heap to themselves teachers having itching ears." And I think that's what a lot of people do. They just go to whatever church tells them what they want to hear. And they don't have to be a church. They just go to somebody to tell them what they want to hear. And I've just never really understood that. And doctrine, whatever that is, comes from God's word. Whatever that is. I've never believed in denominations and churches. I think you should call yourself a Christian and read the Bible and know what's in it. And don't ever put yourself in danger of having to choose between the world and God, because if you can make the wrong choices, and it's not a good idea to do that. You don't want to give up a relationship with God and your eternal salvation for material possessions or material wealth or lusts of this world. And I just want to encourage everybody to do that. Keep God first and do what God would have you do, and do the right thing because it is right. And don't try to be vindictive or take vengeance on somebody or seek after the things of the world. And I just thank you for watching my video. I ask that you pray for me as I pray for you. And again, I'm still kind of a little bit off on my blood pressure. This big drop from what it was to what it is now. It's got me a little bit sluggish. But they did, I will say this too, they did do an EKG on me. They said there was, perfect readings on that, on my heart. So that's good. There's nothing there, and I need to thank God for that. I'm glad that happened that way. That there's nothing, nothing wrong in my heart, and I'd had some issues with that when I was younger, in my early 20s. But evidently they said everything was fine now.